Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end. In this life, you know you can't pretend. The days pass by, they've set in stone. But it's not too late now for you to change your tone. Don't speak.
Hey everyone, it's Marianne from the New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees. Today is Halloween. It is October 31st, and it is just after 6 p.m. So, happy Friday. Hello, Brooklyn. Nice to see you, Mia. So, I'm just going to take questions today and answer whatever it is really that you guys may have to ask. There's been a lot going on in the last week, and I don't know what questions you may have, but let's get right into it. So we are going to next week. Today's Friday, so on Monday, I am going to an event that will be a week long, and after that event, I will. I'll be closing the page after today, and we will be closing our page until I think Wednesday. I will put up a little post up on the page, but don't freak out. You always know that what we do is if anything ever breaks, if there's any other news, that we would, we would always open up the page and share any information with you. So don't worry about it at all. We will then reopen after tonight. We will reopen our page on Wednesday at 7 a.m. That's November 12th. And the reason being is because at next week's event, all of the city council members and many of the state elected will be down at Somos, which is an annual event that happens every year after the election. So no matter what happens, like you don't need to call the council because no one's going to be there. They'll all be in Puerto Rico. So just hang tight. I want you guys to relax and do whatever it is that you want to do that you haven't been doing. Whatever it is, enjoy yourself. Take a week off. Our moderators are taking time off. They need a break. You need a break. We need a break. But trust me, I will always pop in and share stuff with you that I'm dealing with if it's something that I think you guys might be interested in. So let's see. Mia says, who is suing New York City for healthcare? So there is an organization that filed litigation yesterday against the New York City Health Plan and against the City of New York for implementing the NYC EPO. So let's get into a little bit of that, and then you guys can just drop questions in the chat, and I'll eventually get to them. The New York City NYC EPO plan, we have long said we had concerns about. The contract was redacted, almost 40 pages. There's a hidden agreement in there for about $1 billion in savings. We know that the MLC leadership told their members that if they did not do this plan, the city was forcing them to court, because they were already in 2 court cases, to force them through arbitration because the city claims that the unions, because of their failed MLC agreements in the past, owes them $4.8 billion. Billion, like BILLION. So the city, the unions were very upset about this. And of course, where were they going to get $4.8 billion from to pay what they owed? And this should tell you that the Municipal Labor Committee should stop doing health deals. They should stop renegotiating healthcare. They should stop diminishing healthcare or making health savings agreements because they suck at it. Not only do they suck at it, so does the city. And like OLR, absolutely horrible. And why is that? Because they keep violating the law. They violate the trust and the faith, not only of the union members, but of the other union leadership and of the retirees. Here's another perfect example. What did they do with this case? Is they violated 12-126 yet one more time. In addition to all the things that we've laid out over the last several months with you, over the secrecy of the plan, about the prior authorizations, the network, all of this other crap. This group decided, they appear to be active workers from DC 37, all active union members from DC 37. So I was disappointed to see Michael Mulgrew, the head of the United Federation of Teachers, literally attack active unionists for standing up for their rights for a plan that is in a mandatory subject of bargaining, healthcare. I say more power to you if you sue or you argue something or you stand up for something that you think is right, even if it's not right, but you think it's right. And if it ends up not being right, but at least you took the effort or the initiative to fight for something you believed in, you will eventually learn whether you were on the right side or the wrong side. In this situation, this is law. And the law was pretty crystal clear on this. So they filed a lawsuit. And it was in Manhattan Supreme Court, and we'll see where it goes, But they were active union members from DC 37, and it looks like there's, I don't know, a half a dozen of them or so, and that's who filed that, Mia. So hopefully that answers your question. Hey, Laura, it's good to see you. Hey, Robert. Mike, I contacted Emblem yesterday to request a list of all procedures requiring prior authorization under the new NYC EPO plan, and they told me that it is still being updated and is not available yet. With the transfer period starting tomorrow, that is unacceptable. We need this information in order to make an informed decision. And that is yet another issue that is another issue that is also a problem, because you should have had this information before tomorrow, which is open enrollment. And of course, that starts on a Saturday. So let me just take a quick snapshot of that, because that's a really good point, Mike. And I know the group is probably on here watching, and I'm sure they'll say something. Hey, Janice, good evening. Good to see you. Hello, Anne. Withdrawal coming on cold turkey. I'm so sorry, Anne, but you can watch plenty of my videos. You'll be okay. I know you will. Ellen says, hello from Bay Ridge. Kudos, Marianne, for your article that may have gotten his ear. And if it doesn't, don't worry about it. We still have time on our side, and I'm sure eventually he'll be schooled somewhere. Yes, Ellen, I did see that. I have not had a chance to fix that. I was trying to pick up dog food for my dog and fix my dryer, which was really important. Let's see. Apple picking. That's a good thing to do, Robert. I wish I had time to go apple picking. Gerald, explain what's going on with the UFT drug plan and the 365 days hospital coverage. Does this just apply to UFT members, or are all still going to keep the 365? Okay, Gerald, this is a good question. So everyone, listen up. If you are an active worker or a under 65 non-Medicare retiree, if the NYC EPO plan is put into effect, you will no longer need the 365 rider. However, everyone else, those are all you Medicare people who buy the drug plan from the city of New York. Those persons who you are always tied to get the drug plan with the 365 rider. To our understanding, right now, we only know that it affects the UFT. What I need you guys to do is, if anyone who is in OSA or 237 or CWA or any of these other unions where you purchase your drug plan from Emblem through the city of New York and you get your 365 rider, I need you to contact your former union and ask them if you are permitted to get your drug plan on the outside marketplace and still purchase the rider separate from the city. Okay. So that's the ask of you. And only you guys can tell us that. We know right now UFT put that out. And I need to know if anyone who's in the other unions, like your Bill Shenton's on here from 237, Bob from CWA, any of you guys in other unions, from another union that purchase your drug plan from the market, from the city market, from the city plan. I need to know if you were to purchase your drug plan on the outside marketplace, would you still be able to purchase the drug rider, still be able to purchase the 365 riders separately, just like the UFT did? And that snapshot should be on our Facebook page. So I want you guys to tell us that next week. You could email us at the org, retirees at nycretirees.org, and let us know. Any concerns about the new health plan? Well, Rising Star, we've been talking about the concerns for the new health plan now since August. There should be some concerns on one of, I think it's on our, well, it's on our Facebook page, and it's also on our, I believe it's on our website. If you have specific questions, because I'll be here all night if I have to go through the entire list of what the problems are that we've had. Some just briefly, there's 40 pages of redacted in this contract. There is doesn't say anything about that this being a 5-year term. It doesn't say anything about what would happen if the unions are not successful in saving $1 billion for the city. What's going to happen? Are they going to increase your copays, increase your deductibles, increase your prior authorizations to deny your care? You should know all of that up front. We don't even know what the prior authorizations are, as you just read above from Mike. So these are all things that you should know before going into a plan, right? And also, this plan is no longer, if it goes into effect, would not be under the jurisdiction of the state anymore. Anytime there's an insurance plan, it has to go through the state. The state has to approve the plan design, plan change, and the cost of the plan. Any changes to the cost copays. Now, because this would be self-funded, it's literally up to the city of New York to finance this plan. And if they don't have the money, what's going to happen? Also, the changes could be made without any oversight. There are specific healthcare mandates that the state says that insurance companies have to cover. But this seems to be on a wink and a prayer. So because of all of those things, and plus a whole bunch more, but that's trying to keep it simple for you, you should also, because healthcare is a mandatory subject of bargaining, have had this opportunity to review this contract, review the terms, and make sure you were okay with it. Many of the unions didn't even get a chance to see the redacted contract because they were invited to see it for one day between 10 and 3 at DC 37 headquarters. That's not transparency. And if there was nothing to hide, it wouldn't be rushed, and they wouldn't have given them just one day to see it. They could have taken the contract back to their boards and shared it with their members. Since they didn't, there's definitely, in our opinion, something to hide. Okay, let's keep going since there seems to be a lot more here. They keep violating the same law. Yes, they do. And you would think they would freaking know it. Not only does the MLC not know this law, the UFT, DC 37, Alan Klinger, the lawyer from Steptoe, who's like the lawyer for DC 37, UFT, MLC, 237, CWA. I mean, this is sanitation. This is ridiculous. So we just took a position like, well, we're going to wait and see what happens with this one, because but we were really kind of happy to see that the active workers decided to step up and that they were listening. This tells you active workers are listening because they knew. It's kind of funny. Steve Bennett says retirees in Medicare are currently paying $150 a month. Yes, and that's going up. Emblem sent a 16-page email and buried in there that the plan will be $180 next year. I called Emblem. They sent the email and knew nothing about it. So typical. Yeah, so guys, if you hold on, let me go to the OLR website for you. And I am going to, they just put these rates up today because they were not up yesterday. I did not see them yesterday. And so in the chat here, I'm going to put up the rate chart for the retirees. There's a rate chart up there for active workers. Let me see if I grab that one too, since I'm already on the page. And you could see some of those costs. These are the employee costs coming up next, and the plan choices. Okay. So now you have all of that. Always go to the OLR website for that information. But yes, your drug plan is increasing. This is why this is important to determine if you are an over 65 retiree, you can surely get a Medicare Part D plan on the marketplace for less than $180 a month, even though you're getting a chunk of that back from the UFT, right? You still don't really need to be paying $180 a month. Many of those plans you can get for like sometimes $10, $20, $60, $50, $80 a month. Okay. So keep that up. Keep looking for those plans on the marketplace. It will definitely help save you some money. And then you don't have to go through all that bullshit of getting the reimbursements back. Hey, Carol, good to see you. Ellen, are uniformed unions going to sue the city related to the lack of funding for the widows, widowers, orphans now that the MLC bankrupted the stabilization fund? Their welfare funds can't afford to pay. So, Ellen, they've not expressed that to me. It is a serious concern, and thank you for bringing that up. It is another reason why that in the 14 and 18 MLC deals, the first one, 14 done by UFT, the 18 done by DC 37, they made these quid pro quo agreements that funding came out of the stabilization fund and went to DC 37 and the UFT in those respective years. And in doing so, basically bankrupted the stabilization fund. The stabilization fund, when you have a line of duty, a widow or widower, the city pays for the health care, but it was the stabilization fund that was paying for the welfare fund benefits. Now, you heard me say this, and I probably still have to release some of this information. In the MLC meeting in September, I think it was the 30th, the MLC admitted for the very first time that it was their primary concern or primary goal was to destroy the stabilization fund. And the people that were in that room were in shock because they had never heard that the primary goal of the tripartite committee, and tripartite is labor, city, and Mr. Scheinman, that their goal was to destroy the stabilization fund. No one had known that. And why would they? They were saying to everyone that would listen that they had to sell off our healthcare and force us into Medicare Advantage for a cash flow into the stabilization fund. So if their goal was to kill it, why were they trying to privatize our healthcare? Why were they looking to force us into Medicare Advantage that many of our doctors and hospitals didn't accept? So this is devious. And so the union spoke out, the PBA spoke out, the UFA, the UFOA, Local 3. They were upset that here was a fund that was supposed to pay a $3 million cost of welfare fund benefits for widows and children, widowers, and children, that was bankrupted. And when the tripartite committee and the executive board, Henry Garrido, DC 37, Michael Mulgrew, United Federation of Teachers, Gloria Middleton, CWA 1180, Greg Floyd, Local 237, and Harry Nespoli from sanitation solidified this plan, they didn't make any arrangement to pay for the funding of $3 million for the widows and children. None. And so this is a concern because it left them hanging. The unions will not be able to afford this. While primarily those numbers are in the uniformed unions, there are some that are not. There are DC 37 has a number of line of duty families that they take care of welfare fund benefits for. But Alan Klinger pretty much brushed it off and was like, well, it wasn't really part of the NYC EPO plan, so we'll just have to deal with that another time. But the city will no longer fund that welfare fund benefit past November. So that does put them in a precarious position. And any one of the executive board unions could have done something. Now, you've seen us on our one of our websites, our political website, where we've started a campaign to support Jim Brozzi for chair of the MLC. Jim Brozzi is the president of the UFOA. According to the bylaws of the Municipal Labor Committee, there has to be a uniformed member in the executive board. Since Harry Nespoli stepped down, there's been no replacement. And Henry Garrido at the last meeting said, there's no chair, so we can't have a chairman's report. I was like, asshole, you are the chair. He is the chair. In the temporary absence of the chair, he is the chair. So it's like they're abandoning their responsibility. So yes, now that I went on this little rant, absolutely. That has to be addressed somewhere. Katie, watch how quick the UFD jumps on an amicus. That'll be interesting. So they called an emergency MLC steering committee meeting Monday, and we'll have to see what happens. I've got no idea. I got no idea. Marcia, so if a community board member asks us if we support hands-off New York Care, should we say yes? The media is describing it as a group of active workers and retirees, and that confuses people a bit. So, yeah, Marcia, I would say that they make some very valid points in their litigation, and I agree with what they're doing. I kind of think that they're going to win this. As we just literally started to read this yesterday when it came out, and we got phone calls about it from the press. So give us a little more time to dive into it and, possibly come up with a statement. But for right now, I can tell you just preliminarily, they make a valid argument on the administrative code. And so, yes, if you do have a community board member asking you if we do support this right now, you can say exactly that it appears that they're making a valid legal argument similar to what we made in the first case in Campion. Okay. Similar, but the basis is a little bit different, but you could say similar. And I'll get back to you on that next week. Hands Off New York also mentions PSC CUNY is one of the complainants. Yes, I actually saw that too. And that's a good thing to know because especially the city council would like to see that PSC CUNY is actually doing something. So that would be nice. Hello, everyone from Queens. Thank you for all the information. You're welcome, Sharon. Hey, David, good to see you. Gerald, how much will the prescription drug plan coverage for UFTs who are not on Medicare be? So, Sandy, you'd have to go back to that chart that I dropped down below. I'm not sure if you've already seen it, but there's a link that I put in the chat below. You can see all the drug plan information. And it depends if you're individual or family. So I'm not going to just start rattling off numbers or what plan you're on. Let's see. Mike, do you want me to email you the reply from Emblem? Yes, please. Could you? Retirees at nycretirees.org. We'll contact CSA. Thank you, Janet. Regarding the 365 rider, I contacted Emblem about this. I'm OSA, so we have no welfare fund drug plan. So I will tell you, Ellen, you'll get a good chuckle out of this. I don't know if I shared this already, but I called Bob Krogan, I guess about 2 weeks ago to ask him for some information. And we were playing phone tag and he finally calls me back. And then he just went on this like screaming rant at me that he was pissed off at some video I did where I called him out on something in 2021. And I'm like, he goes, do you remember that? And I'm like, no, I think I've probably filmed about 1,000 or so videos since 2021. No, I don't remember. And he got so angry, he slammed the phone down on me. But he didn't close the phone. And I was like, oh, all right, I guess he hung up the phone. And I just turned my phone over and I went about my day. Well, my phone beeps. I have a voicemail and it's literally Bob screaming at some guy in his office about me. And I have that on my voicemail. So whenever I need a chuckle, I just go and listen to Bob Krogan screaming about me, how horrible I am. on my voicemail. It's very funny. John says the new proposed health plan, it's like you have a new BMW and it's being replaced with a 3-year-old Ford. The $1 billion in savings is for executive bonuses, not a taxpayer break. It's kind of like swapping what you have for a Pinto. The only thing is that the Pinto probably goes a little bit further in that you have this larger network, but whatever. Ellen, my huge fear is that the city will succeed in forcing actives and pre-Medicare retirees into the self-insured plan and then try to take our Medicare supplement, make our supplement self-funded. So our fear, someone messaged us and had that similar fear that they would at least try to force us into Medicare Advantage. Remember, we're still willing to fight this. We still have 2 cases in court, which reminds me the next thing. All of you that had copays in January 1st of 2022 to January 12th of 2023, we have told you this entire time, you need to put those copays in a folder. You need to keep that folder, right? I need you to pull out that folder. I need you to make it more handy. I need you to go through it. I need you to also start to look at whatever, if you hadn't finished and you pulled out a list of the doctors and hospitals that you went to in 22 and you never got proof that you paid a copay, I need you to start getting that proof now. We're moving that case a little bit closer now, finally. But in order for them to reimburse you, we're going to need to show that you actually paid those. So please, if you have not, use next week where you don't really have anything to do. I need you next week to know what doctor appointments that you had and get evidence or medical records. You either have to provide a receipt or a medical record that you went to the doctor from January 1 of 2022 to January 12th of 2023. That is your homework for next week, because you won't be on Facebook with us because we're closing our page till Wednesday. But this is what you guys need to do, because as this case moves along, if we can push this to the goal post at the end, then we're going to have to come up with that evidence. And the only way you're going to get reimbursement is if you can prove that you were at the doctor. So a receipt or a medical record for that day's visit. Now, if you don't know what days you went to the doctor, you're going to have to wait to do this a little bit longer. I mean, you can call the doctor and ask, hey, do you know what days I was there or what I had done in 2022 to January 12th to 23? See if they know. If they don't, when this case does push to the end, you will get a list of all of those potential visits that you might have had. And then we'll have to secure some sort of proof, whether it be a medical record or it be a receipt that you paid a copay for that visit. Okay. So that is your homework for next week. Please get that together and put that folder together if you haven't already, and put it someplace where you can easily access it and don't lose it. It is really, really, really important. Has Hands Off New York Care contacted us? Yes, there was an email, and we have been speaking, but there have been groups that claim to share our goals but have not coordinated with us. No, this doesn't undermine us. There's nothing devious here. We've looked at it. When we were told that, we got actually the call from the reporter that this case was filed. When we looked at it, it seems to be a pretty strong case. So I'm thinking we're okay with what they wrote. I don't see any issues yet. We have a meeting next week with our team to go over the rest of the documents. We needed to get our team to be able to read through them first. And this just happened yesterday, so give us a little time. All the questions and concerns you have said a billion times in our video. Is there a PDF cheat sheet that we can educate others? I'm a current UFT member. So Kevin, could you do me a favor? Could you email me at the org and retirees at nycretirees.org? And we actually sent an email to the unions back in like August or July, where we asked them to get us certain things. This is not an exhaustive list, but this is a partial list. And I think we asked, about 20 questions. And I think so far to date, maybe about 5 or 8 of them have been answered. But still, it would give you a good point to start from. So please definitely get that to me, and I will then forward you the email that we sent. And you'll already see by this point that some of those questions had been answered. If I find it quickly when you do email me, I'll just delete the questions that have answers to, unless you want to see those. But if you've been following this, you'll know the answers to some of those questions. On Instagram, someone's asking me any word from Mamdani. The answer is no. We have not heard from Mamdani. Okay, Marie, I'm CWA 1180, and if I don't take the emblem prescription coverage and get reimbursed for $3,200 a year for a couple, I get no reimbursement. So, Marie, I would like you to ask CWA 1180 if they would consider changing that, because UFT, and you can send them the UFT email. It should be on our Facebook page. If it is not, when this is over, I will make sure it's there. And you can say, hey, listen, the United Federation of Teachers is allowing their members to purchase the drug plan on the marketplace outside the city and still be able to purchase the 365 rider separately. Now that the UFT is doing that, I don't see anything that says, and anyone UFT here can actually correct me if I'm wrong. I don't see anything that the UFT is saying that they won't reimburse their people. The UFT gives like $900 a year, plus a number of copays back to their members in their plan from a union welfare fund benefit. So if I were you, I would contact CWA with UFT's email and say, hey, listen, they're doing this. Why aren't you? And see what they say. Okay. And then let us know what they say, because it sounds interesting. Why destroy it to save $3 million? Oh, so you're talking about the stabilization fund. They didn't destroy it to save $3 million. They destroyed it because they took money out of it, the $1 billion to the teacher's contract in 2014. In order for Henry Garrido to get his contract in 2018, he gave every one of the unions in the city $165 a month. $165 a year per member and per retiree to put a cash flow into every one of those unions' welfare funds. They did that. And the common sense person, and you didn't have to be like a core math person or a new math person or someone that understands like math. It's, if you keep taking money out of a fund, the money is going to go down. And so someone with any common sense would know if you're taking money out faster than you're putting it in, the fund is going to go dry. And so I'd always said, and you've heard me say this, I had a conspiracy theory that they were looking to destroy stabilization on purpose, because they were then going to push everyone into the New York Health Act, right? I said, finally, they're going to do it because they're not going to have anywhere else to go. But then they didn't do the New York Health Act. They did the NYC EPO plan, and there is no stabilization fund, and they destroyed all the funding for the widows and children, and they never even came up with a plan B. They didn't come up with a plan B because they still have current litigation in the Supreme Court over the forced arbitration for the failed deals that the city says that they owe money for. They didn't even say, well, when the court says you can't do Medicare Advantage, they didn't go back to the table and come up with something else. Why? Because they would have ended up having to pay. They're making deal after deal, bad deal after bad deal, where they're selling off healthcare and promising savings that is out of their control to give. And it's being done on purpose. So they need to stop to do that. They need to stop doing it. And clearly they don't even know their own laws that govern healthcare in the city. They definitely need to stop. Okay, let's see what we got. What are we doing about the $15 copay? Sometimes after Medicare pays 80%, the 20% they send to GHI after my copay is $4 or $5. I pay 15, they pay 5. It's ridiculous. And so I understand that. But remember, our case covers the 2022 contract. There is no law that they're breaking because they renegotiated the contract in 25. This is why we need the administrative code change, 12-126 change for Intro 1096 to roll back these copays. They went and changed the contract on that. And I went to the doctor a week ago. I paid the entire fee. Emblem paid nothing. Another bill, they paid 32 cents. So this is because the Municipal Labor Committee, your former unions, did this to us. They're the ones that did another savings agreement and passed copays onto Medicare retirees. When they told us it was only going to be a $15 copay, it ends up being a lot of copays. The other thing I want to bring up is one of the retirees messaged us today and said, hey, we're getting copays for diagnostic testing, blood work, x-rays, etc. Can you guys let me know if you are getting copays, and please provide me a receipt, just one. Let me know, yes, I went to get a blood test. They charged me $15 for the blood test. Yes, I went for an x-ray. They charged me $15 for the x-ray. Send me a copy of that receipt. Just do it once. I don't need to see a million of them. I need to see a sprinkling of them. If you can send them to the org, please. That would be very helpful. But yes, that's why we need the law changed so that we can roll those back. So who will pay for widows and children now? Right now, the unions are stuck with that bill after November. When it was mentioned that Zeron hasn't wanted to reveal his standing on the housing referendums, I think you said that Speaker Adams was now engaging in self-preservation. Well, yes, because she's trying to make sure that either Julie Menin or Crystal Hudson or someone becomes the next speaker, and she wants to pave that way for protections for them, that they don't lose their power or their control. Some of those referendums on the back of your ballot take away the power from the council and give it to the mayor, which is why Zohran Mamdani will not say how he feels about those positions, because right now he's been working with the city council and they've been supporting him, especially the Progressive Caucus. He's not going to want to say, I support taking away your power and keeping it for myself, when these are the people that are going out there to campaign for him. So he'd have no reason not to say his position. All the other candidates gave their position on those referendums. So what are we telling the widows? We're not telling them anything. Hell or high water, the unions will always cover their family, always. They will never let a widow, widower, or child go without, ever. And this shows you the honor of the uniform unions and the disgrace of the civilian unions, sadly. The plan is illegal since no uniform rep was on the MLC board with Nespoli retired. That's an interesting concept. They violated their own bylaws and it should never have passed because there was no input from a uniform member. I don't know. I'll ask that. UFOA will go bankrupt if they cover that. I kind of think that they might too. And remember, the UFOA is kind of a small union. CSA leadership on this matter, a little more than bobblehead puppets. I'm kind of disappointed in CSA. Henry Rubio, I'll give you credit, is a nice guy, but Henry should be on this and supporting what we're doing. And I was also disappointed in that he was spreading misinformation with Mark, the gentleman that's in charge of the Retiree Association, and saying our legislation is illegal. It's not illegal. It doesn't violate collective bargaining whatsoever. Our bill protects a current retiree, not a future retiree. Let's see. The NYC EPO lawsuit asserts that since 12-126 mandates insurance coverage and since a self-funded plan is not legally considered insurance, self-funding, but that's a valid point in my book. Yes. Sorry. I agree with that. Bob Krogan needs to step down from OSA president. I agree with you, Ellen, a million times, which will probably make, if he's watching this video, make his head explode again. Yes, because he's not serving his members. He's not helping people. He's serving himself. He's sadly not doing the right thing. He had an opportunity to help out all of his members when I called him that day, and he chose not to. And I said to him, I says, well, look, your members keep asking, are you helping me? What do you want me to tell them? And that's what lit him on fire. And he's like, so you're gonna talk bad about me. I was like, what do you want me to say? That you're helping me when you're not? You're not helping me. I'm literally asking for something I know you have. You can help me. And you can help your own members, not just me. Your members are saying, what is Bob Krogan doing to help us? I have to say, Bob Krogan from OSA is doing nothing. Sorry, Ellen, but yes, that's your answer. What is up with DC 37 Retirees Association? They are holding new members meetings. Yeah, so DC 37 is desperate for members. They're trying to become bigger than we are. They want to think that they can, brainwash the retirees that we don't know what we're talking about, or we're not working in the best interest of retirees, or whatever it is that they're trying to do. But it's not work. I can't tell you how many millions of you contacted us with the flyer, which I got in the mail today as well. Yeah, don't worry about it. You don't need them. Please stop paying your people's money to them. They are literally using your money against you. They're not helping us. They removed their officers, 2 years ago now. They're not operating that organization in a democratic manner. You do not need DC 37 Retirees Association whatsoever. There is nothing that they can provide you that you cannot do for yourself, or that we cannot educate you to do or help you do. Nothing. They are literally using your people's money to lobby against you. And I showed you that over the summer. Ellen, I have so many medical appointments from 21 that I have EOPs up the wazoo, and I have all the records. That's great. Mia, go onto their portal on my chart. Okay, you could do that. Hopefully they have your, on the portal, they'll have your stuff there. Is our organization going to file an amicus in the hands off? No, I don't think we are, Mike, because in looking at that lawsuit, and I will speak to legal next week, but in looking at this, I think they got this even without us filing anything with them. I think that they've laid out their case pretty well, that they don't need support. Remember, in the early days of our lawsuit, the Aetna had wanted to jump on the lawsuit, and the city said, the judge said, nah, Aetna, you don't need to be a party to this case. The city has lawyers and they could amply argue this without you. Basically, if we did that, if we jumped in, it would be like us going, yeah, what they said, because we don't have anything so far that I'm seeing to add to this case that they didn't put into it. So for right now, my answer on that is I don't see a reason to. They've laid out that argument pretty darn well. Do you know if DC 37 is going to continue with our prescription drug coverage? Yes, Kathy, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. The other day on Instagram, I saw a clip with AOC. She was on a congressional committee question with some commissioner of Trump's health department. I was surprised to hear her ripping into this health commissioner about the support of Medicare Advantage. She said that Trump's DOJ is investigating these Advantage plans for Medicare fraud to the tune of $80 billion. She was very pro-traditional Medicare. Oh, yeah, she's been supportive of that, but she has not worked with us. So as long as she's has those talking points still, they said if it doesn't come out of my pension, they won't pay. Marie Torchio, can you please tell me if that was a recent ask, not a past ask? It should be a recent ask. And let me know if when you ask that. I saw somewhere they will reimburse you up to the amount you paid. I'd like some advice on alternate plans. So Beverly, I thought you were DC 37. Tell me if I'm wrong, because I thought you were DC 37. Janice says, will cash checks be proof of your doctor visits for 22-23? Yes. Councilwoman Gail Brewer needs to investigate the misuse of stabilization fund. So I am literally having a meeting next week about the stabilization fund. I will get back to you after next week on that. So I'll probably interview your week off. I'll interrupt your week off. Everyone should have an online account at Medicare, and then you could see all your EOBs, your Medicare summary notices. So Eliza, that would be Medicare. You need the EOBs for GHI, and online they only go back 2 years, which at this point will not be online anymore. So even though you can go to your Medicare EOBs to see that you had an appointment, you can make a list of those, go back to the doctor with that list and say, do you have proof that I paid you for this? Thank you, Judith. Okay, we're going to start wrapping up. How do you check if you have a 365 rider? So look at your paycheck, your pension check. Your pension check, if you're single, you'll see something like $3.38, or a family, $6.57, or something weird. It's a separate charge. Let's see. Susan, Staten Island UFT 2014. We went to a meeting about the new contract and asked what health cost savings meant. They said, don't worry, it doesn't concern you. I remember at the time, I was talking to James Eterno about this, and in 21, and James was telling us the same thing, that they went to ratify the contract and wouldn't tell you what the appendix was. So yes, that's why it was very bad. Why we keep saying to people, don't negotiate a contract that you have not seen. That's the reason why. Okay, we're down to, I think, towards the end. Let me just take a quick screen. Check of any of the last questions. Yes, I did get to look at John Oliver's video. It was very funny. I have to do a newsletter tonight, which I will share with you in an email. Thank you, Marie. Please, yes, definitely call them this time. Again, cite the UFT decision to allow unions to do that, and give them a copy if you can. Be careful. CVS said Emblem isn't in contract for prescriptions last week. I just got off the phone with corporate CVS. CVS said Emblem isn't in contract for prescriptions. And can you please email the org with what that means? Okay. And that's the last of my questions I got in the chat. And I don't see anything on Instagram. So if you guys have any other questions, just email us. Let us know what your concerns are. Otherwise, that's basically all I have for you today. Next week, please enjoy yourself. Have a good week off. Relax, and I will get back to you after Wednesday. If there's anything to update you with beforehand, I will always interrupt you to tell you what you need to know. I do not have, do I have? Nope. I do not have a funding update to, oh wait, I do. Our fundraiser is $183,293. So we're still under our 250. We need to get that rolling. And I will probably give you one more update before we start pushing for the holiday drive. So I will start talking to you guys about that next week. All right. Very good. You guys have a great weekend. Have a happy Halloween. Don't stay out too late. And I will talk to you sometime next week. I'm sure there'll be stuff that we can share with you, but try to get out, do something fun, do stuff that you haven't been, had time to do. Enjoy yourselves and enjoy your weekend. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you, moderators. Give them virtual hugs and tell them you appreciate everything that they do. Everyone take this time off and you go relax, and I will definitely talk to you guys. I will trust me. I will pop in and share some photos with you next week. But so that's going to be don't forget your homework. Please get those copays, that information all together. It's really important that we start to prepare that. And that's all I got. I will send you an email out today. I promise. Have a great night, everyone. Love you. Ciao.
Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end. In this life, you know you can't pretend. The days pass by.